Call the member for Deakin.
Thanks very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. I take this opportunity to speak about some very exciting and practical announcements of funding that we have made in relation to infrastructure in my electorate. And for many, many years indeed, predating my time in Parliament, one of the biggest bugbears for people who live in my community has been access to public transport, and in particular, I mean being able to park at one of our local railway stations. Now, we all know that for many people, if you don't live within walking distance of a train station, and sadly with some of our substandard bus services, for many, many people, the only way that they can get to their train in the morning is to drive down to the station. And at a number of stations in my electorate, in particular Croydon, Ringwood and Mitcham, getting a car park is nearly impossible after about 7 or 7:30 in the morning. In particular at Croydon Station, it's almost impossible to get a car park from about 7 a.m. At Ringwood Station, it's almost impossible to get a car park any time after 6:15 or 6:20. And at Mitcham Station, it's really impossible to get a car park any time after 7:30 a.m. Now, that has had huge impacts in those communities, because inevitably those people then need to park in side streets or park adjacent to areas where we've got shopping strips and other local community services. So I was very pleased when Alan Tudge joined me at Croydon Station just a couple of weeks ago to announce that we would be funding multi-level car parks at each of Croydon, Ringwood and Mitcham stations. In the case of Croydon Station, $15 million, which will fully fund the construction of a multi-deck car park that will have 487 car spaces. And to put that into some context, there's only about 170 all-day car spaces at Croydon Station at present. So to add an extra 487 is just going to change the day-to-day lives of commuters at Croydon Station. And look, it doesn't change your life, but it makes your morning just that little bit easier. Your morning that would otherwise mean you arrive at the station and there's no car park and you've got a train to catch and you've got demands that require you to get to work, well, that'll make that just that little bit easier. We also announced $15 million to build a multi-storey car park at Ringwood Station, and that will ensure that we have an additional 482 spaces at Ringwood Station. And again, the overflow into the local streets in Ringwood has really caused an issue for local residents, but more importantly, for the people who actually need to get a train, it makes life extraordinarily difficult. And finally, we announced $15 million for a multi-level car park at Mitcham Station, and we think that will fund around the 500 mark, equivalent to the other two stations, which again will take so much pressure off the side streets of Mitcham and give commuters that easier access to get on at Mitcham Station. Now, it does two things. Yes, it makes those commuters' lives just that little bit easier. It will encourage people, I think, to use public transport and therefore get cars off the road. So in this case, each day we will take 1,500 cars off the road. So it's good for congestion on our roads and it makes life easier for those who want to commute. Another important point, and when I was lobbying for this funding, and I might add this is fully funded, these are not election commitments, these are fully funded and work has already commenced on them, it was important to me that along the Belgrave and Lilydale line we didn't just fund a multi-level car park at one station, because I think the risk of doing that would have meant you just turn that station into a destination and more people flock into it, and in the end you haven't improved the situation for the commuters at that station or the local residents. By ensuring we fund these three stations, nearly 500 car parks at each of these three, you take pressure off the entire network, and we're very confident this is going to take pressure off each of Croydon Station and Croydon surrounds, Ringwood Station and the surrounds of Ringwood, and Mitcham Station. This is practical infrastructure that makes your life just that little bit easier, and I'm very pleased to be delivering this for the Deakin electorate.